So we record now. And now that we're done talking shit. Hi, Danielle. How are you?
Hey, Pat. Good. How are you?
Well, I miss the shit talking with you because Saturday mornings is when I would run to Ryan for help and then run to you to go, did that old guy come stare at you too? Why is that old man staring at us? He had to die during COVID. He had to.
No, he called me.
What?
He called me to check in on me. It was really sweet. I didn't know who it was.
I didn't get a call. It was creepy.
Well, it was nice. You know, I'm not going to shit talk an elderly man.
I don't think you should shit talk him, but realize he's creepy. You're young, he's old, and he's checking in. But I'm also younger than him, but not young. He could have checked in on me.
Yeah, you could have checked in on me. That's right. He checked in on me. You haven't checked in on me.
I have checked in on you. I comment on your Instagram. I've messaged you. We've talked back and forth.
I know. That's true.
I've watched you pose after your runs. I wanted to do one of the poses, like a little teapot pose that you did.
Yeah, you should do that because you've been posting all of your runs, and I just started this journey. So
yeah, you post a picture, and then people go, "Good for you." I post when they go, "Why don't you smile?" I'm not like the woman. All you women out there who get shit for why don't you smile more? Why are they all doing it to me? Women get mad. I just ran 5 miles. I don't want to smile.
But you should smile through the pain. That's literally what I do.
It is pain. I don't smile normally. Why would I smile after that? I feel good, but I'm not going to smile after I run. That's psychotic.
Okay, well, maybe we've just found some deep psychological shit going on right now. I don't smile, period. That should be, is that your brand? That's your brand.
My brand. My brand is not smile. I smile when it's natural, but I would never, for pictures, I never just go, I just don't, that's not me. I kind of wince. I don't know.
Well, you got to work on your smize. Remember, I told you we took a great Instagram together where we just we looked like badasses. You got to work on your Instagram vibe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the problem is with my looks, it comes off very To Catch a Predator-y, if that's a term. And so I gotta back it up. I can't. If I try to smolder, there's a restraining order. So it doesn't work in my favor. So I think I'm better off just standing in the corner and I don't know.
Yeah, literally. Chris Hansen just liked that post.
He loved it. Actually, him and I are going to do a show for the Fox. It's going to be me and Hansen. We're going to do it on there where we sit and talk to the Fox. So.
Oh, you talk to the Fox?
Yes, the actual Fox.
Oh, okay. All right.
Have you been – I know we talked about off air, but I'll pretend like we didn't. Have you done any radio stuff remotely?
No, I have not. Not since this fun COVID situation.
It's real cool to pretend like you're on the radio. I've had to do it from my bedroom on my laptop where I'm like, hey, that was Pearl Jam and here's the Foo Fighters. And I'd to make a terrible joke, but I'm not allowed to during COVID. And then I hit a space bar and then I have to hit another space. That's all I do. You hit 3 space bars and you're done. And it moves. The program's there. A 2-hour shift or a 4-hour shift takes 30 minutes. Yeah. And I'm not talking bad, but you do get paid way less to track than you do to do it live. So it's I did 4 hours. Does that pay anything? I'm I could almost get McDonald's.
Yeah.
Not even good McDonald's.
Yeah, because you're working less hours. So it makes sense that you would get paid less, but it's not the same at all. The studio, there's just so much more energy, even if it is just me. It's just sitting on my bed is anticlimactic. And then Panic at the Disco. And I'm looking around for buttons to hit and I just couldn't do it. I need the energy.
It was fun, even though you and I were going in at it would say it's early, but you'd be in for 10 in the morning, whatever. So I'll get 9:30ish or whatever. It was cool to go into an empty place where we were the only one. It felt like old school radio. Not that I knew it, but you heard about it. We were rebels. We're the only ones here. Everyone else is out doing their days, but no, we had to make sure they're entertained. And I like that feeling. We're all in different rooms. We all checked in on each other. I made fun of the old guy. He was part of it. And then the other, even weirder, older guy who would sit there and just go, do you know how to make coffee? I'm yes, I know how to make coffee. Make coffee. And you just yell at me, and I'd make him coffee every week. And he go, nice to meet you. I'm I meet you every week. I meet you every week, and I make you coffee every week, and you're very mean. But
well, now he's going to forget you because it's been so long.
Probably sitting in his house. Where's that coffee guy? He's just yelling. But I miss that. I miss going in. It was fun. It was fun to joke. It was fun for you and I to go to each other and go, guess what I just said on the air? Ooh, I just said this. And then Ryan Roberts just eating 85 Big Macs, having it delivered to him while doing the insane mad scientist stuff he did on the air with the phone calls and all that stuff.
Oh my God, he was so good. I know. Sometimes I'd be like, Ryan, what do I do? It broke. And he just knew everything. So he was your go-to. And my favorite was to try to go to him and be like, hey, I think that I'm going to have you guys do a TikTok with me. And I wish I filmed the reactions anytime I tried to get him to do some sort of social media bit with me, because it usually was like somewhere between an eye roll and then a sigh. And then like, he's like, all right, yeah, let's do it. Like, it was just so many, like a roller coaster of emotions. But I miss getting to do that stuff with you guys.
Well, I was so bored during the breaks that when you would come in and do that, I'm like, fuck yeah, we're doing this. I'm in. What do you need me to do? I'll hide under a desk. I don't care. Because we weren't really doing a lot. Once you learned what you need to do. When I first started, I was so nervous that like in my breaks, I just need to take a breath and figure out what to say next. But once you learned what you were doing, there was a lot of downtime. So it was fun to kind of joke around and do other stuff and take pictures. People are like, why are you taking so many selfies? I'm like, we're trying to let 8 people know we're on the air. I was at a Fox. Like, nobody can hear that outside of the parking lot. So it was hard. Like, starting next month for like, I think for 3 or 4 Sundays, I'm going to be on PLR from my home. But I was excited. They sent the schedules out, and I saw the Fox one had no one on weekends. I'm like, why send this to me? That's mean. So I clicked the PLR one to see who's going to be on there. And I'm like, oh, me. I'm going to be on from 2 to 4. I'm like, so now people actually will hear me. So now I really have to be a good boy.
You have to get on top of it. But you've learned how to be a DJ. You've learned how to do it on the radio. Now you just got to do it on PLR.
Yeah, I like to make fun of the artists, and they're like, don't.
Oh, well, you can't make fun
of the commercial. I made fun of the commercials on Fox. Like, don't do
that. Yeah, those commercials pay our salaries. So.
Oh. Well, one of them one time, and they were fine with the joke, and I didn't think it was a big deal, but like we had a thing going, Bears That Care. So the Norwalk police would, you drop off a bear to them, and they'd give it to a kid who had, tough times or whatever. Nothing like dying, but like, yeah, your dad gave you a weird noogie in public or something. Here's a bear or something. So when we had to promote that, I was like, and don't forget to support Bears That Care. Nope, it's not big gay men giving you a long hug. It's the other. And they were like, we like the joke. I wasn't making fun of anyone. I was actually saying it's a wonderful thing. And they're like, we get it, but like, it's maybe don't do your jokes about the things we're supporting. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, maybe not about like community outreach programs and nonprofits, things like that. Okay. Like,
what would be more memorable to you as a kid? A teddy bear or a large queen giving you a hug and like singing an Elton John song to you? That would be memorable. You'd still feel good. You would still feel good.
Oh, I'd love it now. Are you kidding?
That's my next thing. We're gonna start Bears That Care, part 2. It's like there's plenty of them. They need work. I don't think bears are essential.
Like,
so they probably lost their work.
Probably.
I hate that we're not essential. Why weren't we essential? People need us on weekends. We're essential.
Oh, I think we're essential. I need us. It's essential to me. I have had so many free Saturdays that I don't know what to do with. Like, I literally usually would get up really early and like go get my coffee and drive to the studio. And now it's like 10 a.m. and I'm like, okay, I guess I should maybe watch the Golden Girls, because what else am I doing right now? And it's such
first of all, you should always watch the Golden Girls. No matter what, you should watch the Golden Girls. I had comedy, I had radio, and I was getting ready to have a show in New York on Compound Media, and then all this happened. And right away, comedy gone. No performing. So my main job gone. Radio part-time gone. As you know, for a while, we weren't doing anything. And then the thing with Compound, that nobody can go into the city. We're not doing that. We're holding back. And still now, they're not sure they're going to pick up the show now because of the way the world changed. So I went from having 3 jobs to no jobs. Like, just done because one guy had bat soup.
Yeah, literally. It's insane, though, isn't it? That I mean, I'm thinking back to the last time I saw you and thinking, oh, maybe it's just a couple weeks. We won't see. It's literally been 4 or 5 months at this point.
The last week, the Wednesday before this happened, all the Fox guys got together and the girls and recorded all these videos to promote Fox. And I was like the star of most of the videos because most people weren't like off the cuff funny. So I had to be in all of them. And we were getting ready to release them. And then right that weekend, Keith is like, well, hold off now that we're not going to let people in the studio for a little bit. And those videos will never come out now. I even asked, like, can I share them? Now they're like, well, it doesn't make any sense. And now, who knows what the Fox is going to be like with all automated? I mean, who knows? It might be a station where you say, with Chaz and AJ being on there as well as their own station, they might just not end up being a station. But I think the world needs to see me messing around with a Fox and making John pour hot coffee on his leg by mistake.
Ooh, yeah, I want to see that. I would
Yeah,
see that.
I was supposed to be yelling who's in the Fox. We're doing like the what's in the box thing, but with the Fox. And I was running and I slapped the coffee and I thought he had an empty cup in the and it was hot coffee and it went on his leg. He stayed still. And we yelled and we're all like, whoa, we're gonna cut. I was like, oh sorry. He's like, no, I guess it worked. But like it was hot coffee on his leg.
Oh, they should release those. That
They
would
were
be
fun.
so entertaining. I mean, come on.
I thought people would like it during it, but they're like, they didn't, at the beginning of this, nobody wanted to joke, and I understand that.
Yeah.
But I think it should have just gone back to normal. Radio should have been normal.
You know what? Radio has gone through such a crazy time, right? I mean, it was going through a crazy time before this. Obviously, like we know there have always just been like cuts and things that just naturally are in this industry. COVID just did like a number on radio in general. I mean, not even like our stations, not speaking to that, but just in general. Like I know so many amazingly talented radio people who have lost their jobs or voice tracking from home or things are automated. And it's such a crazy time. And I understand obviously, because money is such a huge, I guess, issue in the country right now, but it's crazy. And I miss, like you said, I miss what it is and I miss what it was. And I'm just hoping that we get there, that we get back there.
Do you think it comes back? I don't think it comes back.
I'm hoping. I'm being optimistic.
They can save a lot of money by making people do it at home. I think, yeah, you have some big names, but I think the older people that have been doing it, you let them ride out what they have to do. But I think down the road, they've learned that what they learn is the most valuable thing as a technician. And if you have a technician that's mobile and can go to people's home, take care of things and run something from there, and you could do it, you could save so much money. Think about that building we're in. Where there's just like no one else in that building. It's a huge building. They're paying a lease on it. They could leave the building. All you would need is one room with a server. And I hate the idea of that, but I think radio's gone. I think teachers are gone. A lot of things we learned
really?
we don't need.
You think like the world is just completely shifted. I'm still holding out hope though that things are like going to be slow.
Young. I saw that in your eyes. I saw that hope. It'll go. Don't worry.
Well, I mean, like you have to understand, like you said, you are newer to radio. I've been doing this for a while. It's the only thing I've ever really wanted to do. And so for me to think that like this thing that I always wanted and this thing that I've like looked up to and this goal, that it would just be completely different and completely changed. Yeah. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like a panda bear going extinct, knock on wood. It's like this amazing thing that you wish you could see in person. And then all of a sudden it's like not there. It's,
by the way, all my panda bear listeners were like, whew, thank God she knocked on wood because I thought we were all going to die. Thank goodness she said that because we were all about to get just chopped off.
Listen, I have to. Okay. I'm not jinxing panda bears. All right. I need all the good juju and all the good karma.
Imagine if they all
died
tomorrow. It. Well, it wouldn't be your fault. It'd be hilarious. I'm like, holy shit. She killed the panda bears.
Okay. I believe in karma. And I also read a thing the other day about polar bears. So I think that's why it was like on my mind that we have to be better to polar bears.
I don't know if you heard about them. They're almost dead too.
That's what I read. And so now I'm just like, how do I save the bears? But I'm just saying, like, back to the point. It's sad for me. Like, it's sad for all of us, but it's, I want it to evolve. It may not be the same. Obviously, like a lot of the world is probably not going to be the same, but I hope that there's something that's still there,
Well, I think the people that are going to thrive in it, it's not going to be the radio personality. It's going to be people that can entertain. I think people that can podcast, people that can, like you, who can hold a conversation and have many different conversations and not just talk about one thing or just do what the radio station says.
Yeah.
Those are the people that are going to be valuable. When I got hired, I mean, I fell in love with radio when I was a kid. I used to listen to Smith and Barber, and I would hear a comic like Billy Wynn be on all these shows. And I was a kid. I was like, that'd be cool to be that guy who sits in listening to Howard Stern and all that stuff. So I always liked morning radio. But not until I sat in as a guest was I like, I want to do this. And that's when I reached out to Keith. And he's like, want to start hiring people that can be entertaining because the world podcasting getting so big. You don't really need to teach someone. You can't teach entertaining, but you can teach them how to hit a button. And radio isn't really hard. You don't need to know music anymore. You don't need to really know a lot of technical things. You get a couple buttons and you're good. I fell in love with it to the point where I was like, I want to do this. And then all of a sudden, this happens.
Yeah.
And you could even see it, the writing on the wall, like how Wing's saving money and stuff like that. I think there still will be radio, but I think it will all become podcasting because like nobody's really listening in the car. And if they are now, you can download and listen whenever. Why would you want something live if it's not sport? I mean, I do. Yeah. I love the idea of that, but we're the ones doing it. People in the car don't know. Like
Yeah.
forever, everyone thought Ryan was on live at 9 at night. And when all of a sudden they saw him like doing his own show on Facebook at the same time, they're like, how are you doing this? It's like,
Yep.
no, I recorded
Yeah.
at 4:00. You don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely agree though that things are moving digitally, like everywhere, but especially for this industry, like media. I think for a long time, like you said, like podcasting has just been like this seed that just keeps growing and growing. And I think recently, like we've really started to see what podcasts can become, like the kind of money makers they can be, the kind of opportunities they can lead to. I mean, I literally have a book right behind me that was written by podcasters. And I know podcasters who do like you, like do a bunch of podcasts, write blogs, now they are making so much money and they're like on TV shows. And so I think that it's different from traditional radio in that there's more ways to branch out from it. Not saying like if you're on the radio, you can't do all of these things, but the podcasting medium gives you, the connection to other podcasters or other ways to digitally create. So I feel like that's definitely a thing. I'm noticing more and more also like radio personalities are starting podcasts, are on multiple podcasts, are writing blogs. I mean, I know people who've gotten furloughed and jump back on the podcast game, because again, that's something that you own, something you can continue to do. And who knows, Pat, you might have your own TV show from this. You know what I mean? Like the possibilities are more limitless.
And the key is though that those people, it can't be that shticky fake world thing anymore. No one really wants that anymore. And radio people were taught to be this thing and talk a certain way. And then all of a sudden, like when I came in, they were like, hey, no more talking like this. Talk like people talk. Well, that's what you need to. And but that's what they were saying. But like forever, radio, the people we work with, like, so I've never heard a voice like Alan's voice in my life. And Alan is born to be on radio. But if he started now, they probably would have said, it sounds too fake. But no, it's what it's supposed to be. But like, you know what I mean? They would go, wait a minute, you can't have that.
Have you ever seen back in the day, there was this old SNL skit with like Jimmy Fallon and I think Ben Affleck, and they're essentially making fun of Elvis Duran because that was their inspiration. And Elvis Duran talks about it. And they are talking normally when they're off there. They turn on the microphone and they just go, and we're back. And like, that's how they talk. And then they turn off the microphone and they're talking like normal. And I always just thought that was the funniest thing because that was how they originally wanted it. Like Elvis even said, the inspiration for that skit was how what radio was. And also that's like the perception of us, I think sometimes, because I have some friends who will be like, what's your radio voice? And I'll go, oh, you want me to do it? Okay, ready? Hi, how are you? This is my radio voice. And they're like, wait, you just sound like you. I'm like, oh my God, really? Because there's such a, it's such a misconception, but I think it's because of those old ways that they wanted you to be on the radio.
Oh yeah, 20 years ago, I would never have a chance. I mumble. My voice is gargly. There's no way. I talk fast. But now they're like, well, that's how people talk. I mean, it's fine. It's distinct. But even on the radio with the filters, people would say, your voice sounds deeper. I'm like, it does? Like even deeper? That's terrible. How do you even hear it? Like we don't. It just vibrates us. And it's nice.
Wait, on the radio right now? Like if you're on the radio now?
If I'm on the radio now, people like, it sounds deeper.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what that is. When we were in the studio, people would always say, and I would listen back, and it did, for some reason, sound a little bit deeper.
That's so interesting because I have had friends that like I'll be on the air and I'll be talking and I'll get a text and they'll say, was that you? And I'm like, yeah, what do you mean? Like you sound like you, but you don't sound like you.
Right, we sound a little bit different.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't know why. Like I'm just talking. And I do recognize, I'm not going to lie, that when I have a microphone in front of me, I talk a little differently. I always have done that. Even saying it right now, I'm doing it and it's not like I'm not trying to. And that is from like my college radio days. Like I used to turn on the mic and I just used to speak and friends used to say, what do you do? Like, what do you do with that microphone? So I part of me is like, maybe it's because I am putting on like more of my entertainer thing, but it's just so funny to me because there's so many like random things with like your radio voice and your personality and like, I don't know. Maybe I sound deeper too. I should go listen.
For the first couple of weeks, I tried to be like radio, and then Ryan Roberts walked in and goes, "You're hired because you're funny. Be you. Stop being someone. Don't be anybody else. Be you."
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. But then for a week, I'm like, what's me? And I'm like, oh no, I don't like that. Like they just are like when someone says, like when a doctor says breathe normally, and you're like, oh, and you don't breathe at all. You're like, you don't like, how do I breathe normal? What, I don't think about it ever. Trying to be me was weird. And then I'm like, you know what? Because in the first couple weeks they're like, make jokes about, or make, not jokes, but make bits or breaks about the local area or things that tie into this. So I'd be looking that up, but then like I would put my sense of humor into it and go, oh, I can't say. Kevin has said to me, every joke can't be about someone getting arrested or like and I'm like, well, I was reading the terrible news and just go, like a guy got caught with bottle in his butt. They're like, all right, what, everyone? I'm like, yeah, every break is going to be that. We're going to do that. That's what I find funny. But then I just finally said, forget it. I'm just going to put my observations on whatever the song was or whatever was happening. I know one time the toilet at the station overflowed and the water was pouring everywhere, and I really had to go to the bathroom. And they shut down off the water, so there was no water in the place that one time.
Oh, God!
So we couldn't use the bathrooms. So I talked about that the entire set, and they were like, "Well, you can stop talking about it." I'm like, "Why would I stop talking?" People at home, I think they like the idea of like they know you're in a station. They know that it's supposed to be like all normal and good, but like something crazy's happening. Why not listen to that? And people were listening break after break. It's like, is he going to be okay? Is he going to go to the bathroom? And
that's exactly like when I first started on Star. I was being trained with the weekend DJ at the time. He's no longer there, but I was like nervous.
Oh, no.
No, like he's okay. He's fine. He just left.
I've tried to kill off 2 people so far.
Yeah, seriously. Like, anyway, so he was training me, and I had been on the radio before, but like not in the same way, in the same capacity. So we were talking, and he was like, look, like just talk, just be yourself. And he goes, but also if something happens, like it's live, like just don't worry about it. Like people like to hear that you're actually there. And I was like, oh, that like really makes sense. He goes, yeah, like this one time, he told me this story. He's like, this one time I'm doing like literally the weather, and all of a sudden a turkey literally flew into the window, which sounds unbelievable. I don't know if he was doing it to like hype me up and be like, yeah, girl, like a turkey can fly and you can still be good on the air. But either way, he's like, he said that he announced it. He was like, tomorrow's going to be, a turkey just flew in the window. I don't think that's on the weather report. Like he just like went with it. And he basically was saying to me in that turkey story, which again, don't know if that's true, but he was saying like, just go with it. Like if something happens, talk about it. If you mess up, just keep going. Like no one really cares as much as we care about it. Right. And it took me a really long time, not gonna lie, to like mess up on air and then not agonize over it for the next like 3 days, because I was like, oh no. And then people are like, no, like you're actually there. Like we know you're there if you mess up or if you talk about something that literally just happened or just happened to you. Or so why not tell those stories? But like, I agree with you. Being yourself, especially being yourself on air, sometimes is so hard.
If I was myself during the turkey thing, I would have gone, oh, fuck, a turkey, and then been in trouble right away. Like, there's no way I'd go, hey, and in other weather news, a turkey in the window. I was like, no way.
Oh, he was great. He was so good. I literally was like, I would scream and push a button. And honestly, there has been times where, I mean, I don't know about you, especially with like the newer system we have. I was so used to doing it the old way that sometimes I would start speaking and a song would play and I'd be like, oh God, like what just happened? And I'd have to like stop it. And I react. And sometimes I learned how to react silently. Like, so I'll like, flip myself off and like scream like silently. And there have been times where someone's in the production studio. There was one time in particular where the song didn't stop on time. So I started speaking, but the next song came on. So I realized in my headphones, the song's on, the mic is still on red, but I've learned to curse myself out silently. So I literally threw my hands in the air and I went, mother, and like did that and then turned off the mic. And someone in the production studio literally staring like, are you okay? And I had to run in to be like, it's fine. I didn't curse on the air. I promise. Like I literally just did something in the technical thing. So, I mean, if I was actually being myself, normally in normal life, I curse. But I mean,
have you ever cursed on the air?
No.
I did.
Oh, not at this station.
I did Fox, and I found out no one listens because I did it, and I was on there and I was just telling a story like some guy who was he was doing some shit, and I said it, and as I finished to say shit, I went, damn it. And I just hit a button with the music and then just didn't even like finish the break. I just like, damn it. So I sat there like, oh God, what's going to happen? Oh God, I'm in trouble. They're going to find out this. So I walk over to Ryan once again and I'm like, what should I do? He goes, anybody call? I'm like, no. He goes, don't fucking worry about it. He goes, no one listens to that goddamn station. You're
Oh
fine.
my God.
Because if I do that here, I'd be in trouble. If you go Star, they'd be in trouble. You're fine. I'm like, all right, don't say anything. And I never said anything. And I've talked about it now, and people have like heard me. This is like it was when the Fox moved from that one OK studio to that closet we're in.
Oh yeah.
When I moved over there, that was like my second week in there, and I just damn it.
You know what though? I have heard from a lot of like seasoned radio vets that it happens, and
Right.
it's like it's inevitable because it's how we speak normally, and it takes a lot to learn how to like not have those slips, because in normal life, again, like I do it at my 9 to 5, I'll slip up and I'll say, well, if we're going to work on this project, well then shit. And I'm like, oh, and at, 9 to 5, there's no microphone in front of me. So no, everyone is just like, yeah, you're right. But like, it's scarier when there's a microphone in front of you and potentially, thousands of people listening.
And for me, that was the first boss I'd had in a while. Like I had doing comedy forever. There was no one in charge of me. There was no one. If I fucked up, it was just me fucking up. A comedy club might say, we're not happy with what you did, but all right, don't hire me again. I'll work somewhere else. That was no big deal. Going in there and having to know that like Keith might be listening or Kevin might be listening or Alan or someone like have to say to you, hey, don't do this, but do this. It was like, wait a minute, I can't just do whatever I want. No, I can't just do whatever I want. I have to stay. And the hardest thing for me was 20-second breaks. 15-second break. Like I didn't know how to but it helped my comedy because I was like, I learned how to like really streamline things and get them out. And I started getting good at now when I do the thing at home. Sometimes I'll do something and think I talked for like 40 seconds. I'm like, look, it was 8 seconds, but I got everything in.
Really?
I'm like, oh wow, everything got in there. And also, who cares? Because no one's listening now.
What, to radio or to Fox?
To Fox, not to radio. I think they're listening to radio. I think people in their cars are I think we can become so bored that we're going back to older things that we remember.
You know what? That's true though. The quarantine has definitely made us like reconnect with things from our childhood or there are recent statistics that actually say people are listening to the radio more. Right. Obviously, they're studying them specific amount of people in specific places. However, as a radio person, I'm like, yay, people are listening. But also like random stuff like puzzles. Okay. I can't remember the last time I was like really into puzzles. And now all of a sudden I'm like, this is the highlight of my life. You know what I mean? Like just doing
puzzles.
Well, just like, I don't know, regular puzzles.
No, but
what do you mean? Just like
500? Are you doing like the one with the 8 big pieces and it's like a Charlie Brown?
No. See, I honestly have the attention span of a peanut, so I can't really do like the crazy
peanuts
ones.
Listen well? I don't know. Do they have attention spans?
What?
I don't know if they do.
They
might be listening always.
Mr. Peanut died, R.I.P. So, look, someone did die. We did talk about someone who actually died.
Then Baby Peanut rose from the dead, kind of.
Yeah, I don't know.
Jesus? I don't know. That's a weird religion.
Peanut Easter. Peanut Easter.
The circle of Peanut. He just came up and held him up like Simba. You should have done that.
Maybe I should. Okay, I'm not Mr. Peanut, but I have an attention span of one. So I can't do crazy. Like I am the kind of person, honestly, who will start a project and then I'm already thinking of 3 other projects that I want to do. And then I'm looking at like the cross stitch literally that I ordered at the beginning of quarantine. Cause I was like, wow, I'm going to learn how to cross stitch. I'm going to be a crafty bitch. It's still, sitting in the box and I have not done it. Same goes for the scrapbook that I was like, this is going to be great. I'm going to organize my pictures and my memories and it's going to be so great. Yeah. It's under my bed. So I'm that person who, and I'll like go back to it. Like there'll be times where I'll be like, oh, like I'm going to do this. And then I'll do it for a little while. And then I'm like, ooh, shiny new toy. Like I am always doing a million things, but the quarantine has made me go back to like, things that I did when I was younger, like more arts and craftsy things and, spending time with family.
What it was is like we wanted to try new things. I think we all did. I mean, you started doing a podcast. I jumped really hard into that because I had nothing else going on. I'm like, screw it. I'm going to double down on all this, learn how to do it, learn the Zoom thing, which I like because, before that, you and I would have to meet up somewhere. And it's very hard. Now it's just very easy to go, hey, let's just podcast. And it's quick. Yeah. I can now put video out, which I never did. I like putting that on YouTube, the Patreon, all that kind of stuff, building it up there. But I think at the beginning, we all wanted to do like 80 new things. But then when the world started to get weird, you go back to your comfort zone. And when you were younger, you did these like, oh, I'm going to do things I used to do. Because when we first stayed at home with nothing to do, we were kids. You were like, you were a teenager, your parents went somewhere. You're like, what do I do to kill time? People go back to playing video game, whatever they do, watching a show, whatever, going back to old comfort things.
Yeah.
And I think as you go back to, so like you go into like, I'm going to start weaving macrame. Like you're not going to do that till you're 90, but it's good to say, hey, I tried it.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I always want to be that person. And I don't know that I really am, but I always want to be the person that like does the hobbies and has cool hobbies. And like when you're filling out a questionnaire and it's like, what do you do in your free time? Like, I don't want to have to say the truth, which is like, like binge watch Netflix and eat hot Cheetos, which is more relatable TBH, but it's not like really artistic and cool. And like, I can't say like, I just like learned the guitar, which has been on my list since, high school band days. But
really? Because no one who does radio ever kind of tries to play the guitar.
Really?
I'm kidding.
That's shocking. I know you are. No, I know you are.
I'm like, oh shit. Like, did you not know?
No, I know you are.
Like, I listen to enough music where I can play music. No, just play it.
Wait a minute. I'm gonna embarrass myself a little bit, but I was in the marching band. So
What'd you play?
I played the clarinet.
That's not bad.
No, but like, well, you haven't seen the pictures. But
oh yeah, like, it shouldn't ever be hot. No, you're playing the clarinet in a marching band. It's terrible.
Yeah, but which actually kind of was my brand in high school. Just like think of me in the marching band. But I know how to read music and stuff, so it's always been like on the top of my head. And now my brother, who lives in Texas, randomly ordered a guitar as well. And I was like, and we're twins. So I was like, wow, like we're having this twin thing. Like you're learning the guitar and I like keep talking about learning the guitar. This is crazy. So, I mean.
That's not a twin thing. He got guitar and you were lazy. That's what happened there. He, if anything, his twin sense picked up that you weren't ever going to do it. And it was like, his body was like, I have to because she wanted. He probably doesn't even want to play guitar. He's doing it because your body's making him.
Well, you know what though? He has his hobby, I would say, is like video games and stuff. So I feel like he tried because that's what he normally does. Like during quarantine, I guess he was like, I should do something else. So he did the guitar. And now I get Snapchats of him learning the guitar. But I'm still like this close to buying like a ukulele on like Amazon. Because I feel like that's like easier and more accessible. And I could be like the cute uke girl. I could pull it out at like campfires and be like, hey guys, want to hear? The cute uke girl?
Cute uke girl does not exist. She thinks she's cute. She's not. The second she shows up with the uke, everyone's like, holy fuck, she has a uke. Like, what is she doing? Why is she playing the uke? Don't do this. Like, then there's a guy, there's like, I thought she was cute, but now I got to tell her her song's good. And she just plays Tiny Bubbles the whole time. That's the only song on ukulele.
That's fair.
What else do you play on? Like, if you broke out like a didgeridoo, like that would be cool.
Yeah, that's true. What about like a recorder? I learned that in 3rd grade.
Does anyone play that as an adult?
No, but like I'm trying to not be an adult.
What happens to the recorder? Like the recorder's only, is it like a starter flute? Is that what it is?
It's kind of shaped like a clarinet, but I think it's similar to a flute. I mean, the only thing I remember is we had them in 3rd grade and I had to learn how to play hot cross buns.
Yeah, we all had to learn hot cross buns.
Right, but I don't know what happened to it. And then I graduated to, I'm going to play the clarinet for like a year. And then all of a sudden it turned into like all of these years later and having to march in my town's parades, which was awful. And we had to, because we also got graded on it because it was like a class. So I don't remember what happened to my poor recorder, but that's what I'm saying. Like, what if all of a sudden I like learned how to make the recorder cool again? And like, that was my new thing.
Let's take it easy on again. You might make it cool and that could happen.
I can make it cool.
You definitely because name me the best record player.
Me.
That's it. See, that's the thing. You have no level.
I know.
The sky's the limits. No one's good at it. You don't ever hear about it. You don't ever hear about a band with a recorder. They have a flute, clarinet. Kenny G's doing whatever that he does. But you don't have the recorder. I don't even know if – I don't think it's really called that. It doesn't record any. I don't know why it's even called that.
Yeah. Now I'm going to have to like do a deep dive into the recorder because I honestly don't know.
You got free time. Now you can learn about
you know what? I do have free time. Although things are like slightly opening up more. So I feel like if I have free time, I should maybe like go outside more.
No, if I was someone who had a podcast about being basic, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, I would talk about how that started, like playing the recorder. Remember the recorder?
Oh my God.
Easy. And if you talked about that, people would like, oh my God, I remember. Because as a kid, there was 3 instruments you learned when you were a kid. You either got the recorder, You got a trumpet, or you got that wood pallet thing that was a rubber stopper that was supposed to be a drum.
What is that?
It wasn't. They wouldn't give you a drum. It was like a piece of wood, and it had like a rubber circle on it, and you hit that with drumsticks. They weren't going to give you a whole drum. It was like a drum pad or something like that.
So you could learn how to play the drums,
but they weren't going to give you a drum.
Yes.
Because you had to bring it into school. Like, I got the trumpet as a kid. And so I in third grade having to carry my little trumpet briefcase and having to clean out the spit valve, which I would laugh at every time they said it was spit valve, and then be terrible at the trumpet, and then get mad when they're like, "Why aren't you good?" I'm like, "Why aren't you a good teacher?" And run out of the room and get upset.
Oh yeah, my brother was the trumpet player of the fam.
Yeah, no one moves on. I didn't even think good trumpet players don't play the trumpet when they're kids. I think that's something that's an adult instrument.
You think?
Because you need big cheeks. If you have big cheeks as a kid, you don't want to expose yourself to that.
Well, I don't know. Like the trumpet, like we had some really good trumpet players in my band, but like the best trumpet player was our band teacher. So you might have a point.
But you were
like,
also in the band, so you were teenage and older. I'm talking like
you're
like
little ones.
And you're a little fat kid. You don't want to look like a blowfish. Like you're already got chubby cheeks, and then and it blows up. You're making fun of you forever.
Yeah, that's true.
Now you're fish face, now you're Shamu, whatever fun name you want to give him, and he's done. Or whatever killer shark is popular nowadays. I'm sorry, I'm not. Shamu is not it.
No, that's true. But like it's weird because you pick your instrument when you are like, I was 7, I think, or 8 when I chose it, and I'm like, how did 8-year-old me decide that? Like, how did I decide that that's the thing I wanted to learn and that's what I was going to do? And at the time, at least in my school, you could like learn an instrument and you could also be like singing. You could be on the chorus. And at the time I was like, I'm just going to do everything. And then it wasn't until later on I learned you like had to pick one or the other. But I was like, at that point I was like, well, I went through this to learn this instrument. I may as well just like stick with this. And then I just ended up sticking with it. And then there was like a time where they were like, oh, you can join both if you want. But I was like, at that point, I'm just not going to do it. Although in 5th grade, I did get a solo in my choral concert.
What did you play?
It was singing. It was the singing one. It was, oh my gosh, what was the song? I don't remember the name of the song, but I remember my verse. It said, my grandfather journeyed like so many others. It was about like immigration or something because the theme was like USA. Like it was a USA concert.
So did you have to dress? It was like back in the day when you could still like, look, I'm Mexican. They're like, no, you're not. Like, yeah, I have a sombrero. And like,
no, it was like for all of our concerts that I remember, like going back to elementary school, they always had us wear the same thing, which was like white tops and black pants or skirts or bottoms. So that was the entire thing. So in 5th grade, because I was in band and chorus, I just wore the same thing. And then band was first. And then the chorus part was second. But because I had a solo, I had to like step away from the risers and be in front of like the microphone.
Oh, and you couldn't wear like a cool dress, right? You had to wear like your band outfit.
Yeah. So I had to just wear whatever. But yeah, just so like obviously what I'm trying to say is like I could be a famous singer right now, but I chose the clarinet. That's what I'm trying to say. Like I had a solo, okay? I could have taken it places.
But really the pressure that was on you. As a kid, that's like we
my God.
now, but like you think your life's gonna change. Like a trumpet, like I'll choose trumpet because like the cool kid and that girl I think is cute, they're playing trumpet, so I better. My whole life is fun. If I don't play trumpet, I'll be a loser like the drum people. Or like it's great. And at the same time, there are kids in Asia at the same time who had to pick their profession. At 7. Like imagine that we're worried about the clarinet and like,
I know.
And then an Indian kid has to worry about who he's marrying when he's 9. It's like our pressures were nothing.
No, unbelievable. I mean, I always think it's a crazy pressure when you're graduating high school and you have to pick a major and pick a career path. And I mean, because I talked about it on my own podcast when I was explaining why I like radio and why I got into it. When I was in high school, I was like going to be a teacher because I didn't know what else to do. Like I just didn't know what else to do. I liked kids. I was good with kids. I'm still good with kids, occasionally. But I just didn't know what to do. And so that was going to be my career path. And looking back on it, I was like, wow, like what if I just chose this thing at 17 because I didn't know what to do? And then, here I am 12 years later, aging myself. And I would have been probably miserable because even though there are times when I'm like, oh, it'd be cool to teach or be in a school, it just wasn't the career path that I probably would have thrived in. So it's just crazy to me that even at 17, it's like, here's your diploma. Now, what are you going to do forever? Like, I still am like, sometimes there are still days where I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Like, where should I go? What should I do next? I mean, obviously with the whole world and different industries and everything changing, that's
Now
going to
it's
come up.
different. Yeah.
Right. But there are some days where I'm just like, so should I like go audition for American Idol or no? Like,
Yes,
you
you
know?
should. I think we do school wrong. I
Yeah.
think after high school, we should that should be the time where you don't go to school. I think that's when you should be able to, from there, an early age into school, kind of like in Asia, but not exactly the same, kind of start to get an idea. But like they have different programs. You try this, you try that, and then go to college when you're in your 30s. Because
Ooh.
that's when you actually know what you want to do. That's when you actually have a focus. You start to learn who you are as a person, because you 17-year-old you and 30-year-old you, different experiences in life. But if you go out, you have the fun. If you go do, why do we go to college and party and do all these things? Imagine 30. Yes, you'll
Mm-hmm.
drink, you'll do that, but you'll still be a little more responsible. You'll still have fun, and you could figure out your life that way. But
Yeah.
you don't, I think with having to do it that early, we rush everything. We rush, well, now I need a job. Now I need to get married. Now I need to do this.
Oh, yeah.
You pace yourself. You've got so much time. We actually can become better at the jobs we do and learn a lot more if we give ourselves life experience. Work a bunch first, and then from those jobs, learn, okay, now I want to go to school to be better at this job.
Yeah.
I think that's the way we should do it.
Pat Oates 2020 for education reform right
Well, no,
there.
that's ruined everything, because if you're 30, are you going to listen to a teacher? No, not even.
That's true.
That's the problem. Like teachers will lose like I was saying before, teachers will lose all their jobs.
Yeah. I mean, I think like I've thought about going back and teaching actually, but teaching older kids, because first of all, like I said, like, you know, kids have like sticky hands a lot and things like that. And I'm just like, how old would I teach?
Yeah.
I've thought about high school, like later high school or college.
I'm not trying to be rude, but you're worried about sticky hands.
Actually, so true.
Have you seen anything
stories
about Florida? Like, you're a young, attractive woman, and you got teenage kids running around.
Okay,
you have to make a choice.
All right, well,
You want to be in the news? You want to be a good teacher?
Then I've thought, no, I'm not trying to be Mary Kay Letourneau here.
We all know her name.
We do. Or college, because I remember when I was in college, like I would teach like something like a focus, not just like English or something like that. Because I remember in college, like when I was learning from people who had been in the industry or had like experiences, like you said, like things that they could talk to, I found it more interesting and I learned more. I mean, I still have lessons that I learned from, you know, my journalism 101 teacher. And I think I thought that could be a cool thing to do, because I mean, at almost 30, I keep throwing that out. I got to stop doing that. I got to ride this 20s wave as long as I got it. But at closer to 30 than 20, I may not be the number one radio host in the world, but I've been through it. I've worked my way through. I'm still working my way through. I'm learning new mediums like you. So I just feel like teaching in that respect could be kind of cool. But again, it's like, that's a different career path, and that's something else I've thought of. And who knows? Like, I feel like in 20 years, maybe I'm going to.
All these things. That's the thing. I think people get so caught up in one thing. We really do have the time to do it. I love performing comedy, but I also like helping people who are trying to learn how to do comedy. I do comedy coaching like that, because in the same way you were saying, it's nice to go, oh, I wish I could just teach the world. People learning is what I get off on. No, I like knowing that when I teach someone, they're hungry, they want to learn something, and it makes me remember being hungry, like the eye of the tiger thing. When I watch a young comic get into it, I'm like, oh yeah, I want to start writing more. My passion is there more. When I started doing radio and people were showing me stuff, I was so excited. I could see, like, when Ryan would help me out, you'd help me out. You guys would get excited. You start writing little, look at this joke I also wrote. I tried to write one. And it was fun to do that, but like we would get excited about each other's energy. So it would be weird to just teach and then not do. Like, teaching and doing is more fun, because you start to learn the things you're teaching. You start to reteach yourself.
Yeah, I agree. It's the same as when I'm on someone else's podcast, or I have them on like mine now, or even just talking about all the different projects that are literally floating in my head that I want to do, like other podcasts or other this and that. I get excited about it because like they're excited about it and we're having a good conversation about it. And like, that is like, there's something to that, I think. Yeah. But I'm sure it's fun in comedy. I've actually thought of taking improv classes too.
I liked you too.
You don't like improv? You're a comedian. Isn't that like the thing?
No.
Oh, okay. So maybe you need to educate me right now, because what is the difference?
Okay, here's the difference. improv is a group of people.
Okay.
I'm too selfish to share any laughs. It's my laughs. It's my thing. I'm raw against the stage. Improv is fine. I don't shit on it. If people want to do it, it's fine. It's just a bunch of corny, goofy games of people who can't make up their own thing, yes-anding, and and I've had people ask me forever to be in improv groups, and I've kind of played with the idea. Well, because I'm quick, I come up with stuff, but I'll never share. I'm gonna give someone else a laugh. I'm the star. I'm the pretty princess. I'm not giving that up. I'm not a team player.
See, the only reason I thought of it is because we're on the radio and because we're doing things like this, I thought it would help maybe little bit.
You're also a good person and you can handle it. I'm a selfish, terrible person and I couldn't do it.
Well, I don't know, because now that you're talking about it, if someone got a laugh at something that I set up, I'd probably be really upset.
Yeah, that's your laugh.
Yeah.
And especially if it's a dumb thing. They come up with a character that's like, I have a candy cane on my head.
Yeah.
And everyone loves candy cane head guy. And you're like, I'm working very hard. And you put stupid candy on your head. And everyone's like, candy cane. And they're all cheering for you. Like, oh, I hate this.
Yeah, that's true. I just don't know that I have the whole thing to do it by myself. Like I know I can be funny, not to toot my own horn, but I know that I can be funny, but I feed off of other people. So that's also why I'm a very bantery kind of person.
Comedy's just banter, but the talk back is clapping and laughing. It's a conversation.
Oh, people are clapping and laughing. I thought you were clapping to yourself.
I am. Me. Woo!
Good job, Pat. Yeah.
It's a conversation, but you dominate it. If you treat it like a conversation, it does feel like you're talking to them, even though they're not saying anything. Their reactions, their eyes, all that are their responses to what you're saying. So it kind of becomes that way. I had to recently perform again after all this outdoors in front of a lacrosse game, and we didn't know the lacrosse game was happening. It was in Shelton, and it was right behind. There was this center stage place. They do inside plays, but it had to be outside. So they have a big field, but on the outside of the field, there's a track area, and then there was the bleachers. So we're supposed to perform there, a little small stage. Now, they didn't realize that a lacrosse team of high school girls, young high school, 13, 14-year-old girls are going to be playing a lacrosse game literally behind us. So, the fence is your wall. And, they're all there, and we're not told to be clean or whatever. We have microphones, and we're performing. And it was just so fun to watch the audience react to us not caring what was happening behind. And they got into it. You thought they would, but and they weren't talking, but you could feel their energy. They felt like they were doing something dirty and wrong too, because we were saying terrible words while young girls were trying to throw a ball into a net.
Oh, I do like that. That actually is a lot of fun. And I will say I've always been that friend too. If I'm in a group, I do tend to, take on the role of the class clown in a way and tell crazy stories and try to get the laughs and stuff. So who knows, Pat, maybe I'll learn how to be a stand-up comic next. Maybe that's my next thing.
Maybe I'll learn how to crochet.
Well, I don't know how to crochet.
I just told you what I wanted to do. Maybe my secret.
Oh, I thought
my secret in life is to crochet, and you just destroyed it.
I'm sorry. What about knitting?
Knitting is poor man's crochet.
Is it?
Crocheting is a lot more technique. You have to do the knit one, purl two.
That sounds all right. Clearly, I don't know the difference.
I've just heard that term, and I went with it. See, improv.
Oh, I see what you did there. My mom can crochet. I can ask her after this and let you know.
That sounded like it was a rap battle insult. Yo, my mom can crochet. Oh, shit. It's I didn't know. I didn't know your mom
She can. She made a baby blanket the other day.
It's a blanket for a baby, or one day it'll grow up to be a full blanket?
Well, it started off, I think it actually was, I started it years ago and then I never finished it. So then she made it turn into a real blanket. So if you want, it works both ways. It was an emotionally stunted blanket for a very long time.
Now it identifies as a quilt. It's beautiful.
It might. You know what? It's evolved. We all grow.
Have you ever had anyone knit something for you when you were a kid, someone, and it's just awful, and you're
no, because no one in my family knits.
This one lady, and she would
really
gloves, and they didn't work. They had holes in them. They're gloves, and my hands are freezing. I don't want to wear this.
No one in my family knits. My we're Italian, so we cook and we guilt trip. Those are the two gifts I get. So I get food, and then I get why aren't you married yet? I don't know. I asked my boyfriend. But you know what I mean? So I didn't get knitting.
What you just did there.
What I do.
It's not your fault. In this day and age, you could propose to him. But nope. Super Italian is, I don't know. Ask my boyfriend.
I know.
Tell your boyfriend, hey, listen to the podcast. Listen at the about 57-minute mark. That's the only thing I got to listen.
Yeah.
No, but it's failing.
Yeah, no, but it's so funny because I say that, but truthfully, he and I both are like, we're chilling. We're
And
chilling.
that's the Italian part where you have to say it, because if you don't, your Italian guilt will go in there and go, why aren't I pressuring him?
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't want to pressure him, but I have to. But I don't want to, but I have to.
Oh yeah. But I get that, and I get lasagna. So I mean, it's honestly, you take the good, you take the bad, and there you have the facts of life.
You take them both, and there you have. You got to do the
And
whole
there you have it.
song.
Well, you know what? It doesn't
We're
matter.
too
You got
young
the
for Facts
point.
of life.
I am a pop culture encyclopedia.
Yeah, but that's not, it was actually my pop culture. It's like, that's
Okay,
how
but
old I am. I grew up on that show.
but I know oh my God, what's her name?
Tootie?
Mrs. something. Tootie.
Mrs. Garrett.
Yes, I know that stuff. And I don't
Blair,
I feel like
Joe.
I watched it. Did they do a reunion special or something?
A long time ago.
Okay, then maybe I watched it.
Natalie was a big fat scary. Chris Farley would always play her on Saturday Night Live. It was
Oh,
like
I love Chris Farley.
Yeah, but when he would play her, you're like, you felt so bad for her. Like he just got like, I'm not. Just like,
No. Yes, but anything Chris Farley, like if Chris Farley rose from the grave to play me, it would be the biggest honor of my life. Because
I like how the part where he rose from the dead isn't the biggest honor. Instead of he played you. The guy rose from the goddamn dead. You're like, well, who's he playing? Like, I don't know. He's alive. He's playing alive. He came back from the dead.
listen. All right, fine. So like how about this? If he's just like, still dead, but he's playing me, like in, space. That's how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Space plays. They always
Come on.
space plays
Chris,
out there.
yeah, Chris Farley was the best. Come on.
Right, and he's beloved. Okay, here's a question.
Yeah.
Chris Farley is one of the most beloved people. Most
Right.
people don't say they hate him. Most people, no matter what, like they thought he was funny. Even if they didn't think he was hilarious, they all just think he was talented.
Right.
If he did blackface, would they let that go? Is he that beloved? If you look back and he's like in early sketches, and he had one like now, and now we look back at it. Now that he's passed away, you think people would just let it go, or would it?
Because he's passed away, you think?
Because he's passed away, and because his lovability, would he get away? I think he'd get away with it. I don't think he'd bring it up.
I think that, I mean, obviously it's wrong no matter when you do it, but like,
unless you actually have a black face, then do it all you want.
because that's
that's your face.
Yeah, that's completely different. But
that's just called face.
That's your face. But like intimidating someone like that, and I just said intimidating. You know what I meant.
I like it
it's
better.
Fine.
Hey.
But
it's and just yelling at someone, get out of my face. Like, I will. This is weird.
I mean, it's awful and should not be done at any point. I think because he's dead, though, I feel like I don't know why they would bring it up. You know what I mean? Like I think they'd still be like, yeah, that was not okay. Because it wasn't. Not that he did, but if he did, I just don't think there would be a reason to bring it up. If anything, it may be brought up from the writers who thought that was okay, or like the producers.
They apologize. In 1987, I made a horrible mistake.
But
I asked Chris Farley to put on blackface.
Didn't Jimmy Fallon just do that?
Yeah, but that was so weird.
I think Jimmy Fallon just did that.
He just did it because I think nobody was watching him in his living room.
Well, now he's at the studio, but
now,
I don't know.
I'm saying then when it happened.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, obviously it's wrong and it's racist and it's awful. I just don't know that there's a reason to like go back to someone who's not here anymore. Like,
well, because the world's awful and everybody wants to. There are people out there that want to cancel dead people. There are people out there that want to cancel everyone. They don't. They're just
cancel culture. Yeah, cancel culture
weird.
It's crazy. There are some people who deserve to be canceled. I'm for people being accountable. Like if you did really fucked up stuff, if you said really fucked up stuff, if you have really awful beliefs and you like didn't care and you just said them everywhere and like, you know what I mean? Like be accountable for that. Like you're either an awful person or, you made an awful mistake. Like the whole cancel culture of it all. I mean, I'm torn on it because I think sometimes it's more of like a pitchfork situation. Like if an influencer.
To me, with the voice actor stuff with cartoons, that was pitchforky. That was weird. They were doing imitations or intimidation, as you call it. But they were doing imitations, and it wasn't about race. It was about people with abilities and talents to create a character that became iconic. They should have been allowed to write it out. I get that if in the future, if right now you and I started a cartoon and we had an African-American character, yes, it would be the right thing to hire an African-American to do it. But the fact that the character was already happening, that all these people were there, Apu, I get. That was racist and weird. That one was like stereotypical.
That was bad.
We laughed at it. I mean, people that do imitations of Indian people are doing imitations of Apu. Like, that's how iconic that became. That being said, all the other voices and characters, it shouldn't have mattered. No one should have lost it or felt like they had to apologize. They were doing a job. They weren't dressing up. It wasn't like, squinting their eyes and going, "I'm Chinese." Like, that's wrong. But just to do a cartoon thing, I don't know, that's weird.
I don't know. I think it's weird, but it makes sense to me just in the fact of like, it is kind of a representation of someone, even if it's a cartoon. I mean, I think the cancel culture. No one knew
who they were until people started digging. Nobody knew what the voices looked like. No one even thought that they were so good. You just looked at the cartoon and it was a person. Like, that's how great. Like,
their voices, yeah.
Their voices, their talent made the character. It wasn't just them doing a voice. And the writers, they became this, like, 30 years of blood, sweat, and tears of putting into this thing to make these characters icons. And then be told you can't have your job and someone else just gets your job. They should have let them write it out.
You're talking about for The Simpsons, right?
Yeah, for the most part, The Simpsons, but other shows too that did well for a long time.
Yeah.
Was never canceled. Hitler. Hitler was never canceled, and he said terrible things. But he's so famous, and like everybody knows his speeches, and even to this day they talk about. Somebody should go cancel that guy.
He should. Yeah, he should be canceled.
Why isn't he canceled?
Well, like, the cancel culture thing is so. The reason I like don't fully understand it is because there's some things that are like there was a whole cancel culture thing for like an influencer who posted that they were out, somewhere during COVID, and I'm like. Right. Was that responsible? Hell no. Was that what they should have been promoting to their, X amount of followers? No. But like, they made a mistake. They slipped up. You don't know what the whole story. Should they be canceled for that? I don't think so. Then again, someone who, is on their podcast and maybe says something very off color or like very racist or anti-Semitic or whatever it may be. Yeah. Then maybe, you said something you shouldn't have said that you should know is wrong. You know what I mean? Like, there's a weird line, I think. And
there should be bosses or jobs or councils or whatever you're working for or whatever you're doing things for should cancel you. The general public shouldn't just decide with pitchforks to get rid of you. And that's what it's become now. And then because everyone's so afraid of not making money and advertisers going away, they just bow down to everything. There should be a process that happens. Someone talented shouldn't lose something because 10 years earlier they made a dumb tweet. It's like we all grow up,
I mean, I definitely think that like the tweet, obviously I just don't understand why you would post shit that even like 10 years ago. Like, racism was still a thing though.
Right. Okay, here's the thing. I'm not saying you're not, but as a creative person, a lot of times we're using social media as almost like an open mic. You're not thinking about like people being triggers. My mind doesn't go that way. I look for funny in things that aren't fun. Most comics, things like that. You're looking for funny in the unfunny. You're trying to make people look at something that they normally look at and see it in an odd or queer way. That's what they're doing with observational comedy. So you put a premise out when you can't be at open mic on Twitter, on Facebook, and hope for likes, because if people like it, then it's relatable. And therefore, then you can work on it more. So you're throwing something against the wall and hoping it sticks. Nobody was picking it apart the same way an open mic was. Nobody was staring at each thing back then. It just was up. You either liked it or you didn't. You retweeted it or you didn't. You let it go, and you knew if no one liked it, you moved on. But it stayed there because you didn't think it was going to come back to haunt you. It was a bad joke. You ever went to a party and you told a joke and no one laughed. You don't hope to like, hey, can everyone please erase their mind so I can get rid of it so you never see it again? It's something you tried and it didn't work. And then now it's stuck there 10 years later. You never thought about it. And now somebody's literally digging through 60,000 tweets to find something bad about you, which is just weird.
Yeah. That part I don't understand. I mean, I think we should normalize, and I know like obviously there's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now, and we are taking steps, albeit probably not probably, but slower than we should have throughout this time, just in general for a change. But I think that we should normalize a little bit more of like making mistakes and learning from them and growing from them, as opposed to you made a mistake. And
there's no second chances. We all grew up on second chances. There's no such thing now.
Right. I think like maybe that's next. Like maybe it's like, this is the peak of it, because we are going through right now, like one of the biggest civil rights movements since, Martin Luther King. Yeah, since the civil rights movement. And it's great. And I think it's needed and it's, but I think the cancel culture comes from like the outrage of that. and the outrage that it's taken so long for so much change.
Some of it,
and,
but I think like you say, I think there's
Yeah.
I think there's a not so vocal minority who
Yeah.
has a real plan and they want to mobilize, they want to organize, they want to structure what they say and really do something. But there's a ton of people who just want to be seen on a video and pretend like they have a cause to get rid of. And that's the problem. The problem is the majority that doesn't even know why they're out there doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
We get too involved in this. Everyone needs. Andy Warhol said a long time ago, we all get 15 minutes of fame, but I don't think he understood we really would. We'd all have our own Facebook page, Twitter account. We're all.
Yeah.
I can look you up. 30
Yeah.
years ago, I couldn't find out who you
I know.
were if I saw you once. I know I tried. You were one. It was weird, but like it was like I'll find her. Yeah, I'm aging you.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah, I know.
Or you were negative one. Sorry.
Yeah, I was negative one. God.
But it's an odd thing we're going through, and that's what bringing it back to radio is.
Yeah.
What do we like? They want us to be personalities, but also we have to worry about offending. It's not like Howard Stern days where it's like that kind of stuff where it was like you push buttons and do whatever. Then it became like FCC like crazy. Now it's just like the things you're afraid to say are just descriptions. Sometimes it's just natural thought that you have to worry about words. And when you make a creative think too much and not just naturally create, they don't create as well. So it becomes very hard, So how do you, that's why I think podcasts are the future, because there's no bosses over them. Yeah. Spotify, Rogan's making time on Spotify, stuff like that. But once you can generate money, no one cares what you're doing, and you can choose to listen or not listen. It's not stuck on your air and you're worried about your kid hearing it or your boss hearing it. So I think that's why it's phasing out, except for live sports and music, which we all love. But
that's going to stay. I mean, it's funny that you say Howard Stern too, because I think that he's a pretty good example of like fucking up and like learning and growing and changing. Cause like back in the day, you're right. Like he would bring strippers on air and all these crazy things.
He's so critical. I wish
I know, but
he was the guy that not only did he do the thing, but he also would bash anyone.
Oh yeah. He was awful. He was awful.
But then
he
just own it as an old man.
I know. Now. I think he owns it, but I think, or at least I listened to interviews of him recently where he's like, I went through like very intense therapy and I like realized what I did. And
his whole life he wanted to be accepted by Hollywood, and now he finally is, and he doesn't want to blow it.
Yeah. Probably.
He would make fun of Ellen, but he loved being on Ellen. Like that was you could tell that was his thing. He loved being the king of all media, but he wanted to be accepted more than anything. And he was a rebel because deep down, he wanted that. He wanted to be Oprah, and he couldn't be. So he'd be anti-Oprah. And now he gets to judge America's Got Talent and things that he should never. He made fun of any person who did that. That one's a weird end of your life type thing. Like, was it all fake? Were you really not that person? It's weird. I know he's growing up, but it's an odd move.
That's true. America's Got Talent with him though, I think humanized him a little bit. Obviously not like giving him excuses for everything he did.
It's weird that he showed it was all for fame because he had so
much money. I think it was to humanize him and to like bring him more, or to make him more accessible to like the families of America. Because I mean, even nowadays, if you say Howard Stern, people are like, oh my God. And like, I'm not going to lie. Like, there was a while where I was like, oh, like he said some really bad shit, but I mean, and he did.
I think you're at the very end of the age where that's a thing. I think 25, like my kids don't know him as anything more than America's Got Talent.
I know.
Like, so like they don't know you have sort of like, oh, that silly guy who passed that deaf girl who sings country songs with his golden buzzer. It's like, what a good man.
I think I also know Howard Stern because I'm in radio though, because and because like he is, like him, hate him, love him, whatever. He is a successful radio personality who like started in Connecticut and
he's the most
grew
famous
and
radio personality you could say probably ever. I mean, like
I literally have his book behind me, and
next to the podcast book, which would make him nuts.
I do, and next to the Elvis Duran book, by the way.
Yeah, Elvis Duran is at that level.
I love Elvis Duran.
They're both like really next to the podcast book. Come on.
Well, okay. Anyway, I went to Barnes & Noble to buy the Howard Stern book. And like the reason is because, I heard that podcast and he sounded like he evolved and grew. And like you said, I'm very optimistic and I like to see the best in people. So, but he has really good interviews. And so it was like his interview book. And I it was like this, 21-year-old girl behind the counter. And I bought a couple books and Howard Stern was one of it. And she looked at it and just said, so many people are buying this lately. Who is he?
Oh, geez.
And I said, who is Howard Stern? She goes, yeah, like seriously, like this past like week, because it was like right around when it got released. She goes, so many people are buying this thing. Like, should I know him? And I said, I mean, Probably. He's a really famous radio personality.
And you sell books, and he has
yeah.
a very popular book. So at
I
least
was
figure
like,
out who he is a little bit.
and then she's like, oh, the radio. And I was like, don't talk to me. I'm like, yeah, you just like bashed. I'm buying a book you bashed. I just said radio. So you're bashing my career. Like, what's next? Like, you going to bash my little like romantic novel that I bought too? No, probably not, because you probably bought it too. But like
Twilight, like that's so old.
There is a new Twilight book coming out.
I know. No, I'm kidding. I had no idea.
No, there really is.
I believe you. That'd be a weird lie.
It would be a weird lie. I was a Twi Hard back in the day. That's what they called them. Yeah, that was like the fandom name.
I usually have a name for the podcast. I wasn't sure yet. Twi Hard is the name.
Twi Hard, because you like die hard from like you die hard.
I got it. I didn't think it
have
was somebody getting a boner from vampires.
Yeah.
I knew what it meant, like Twi Hard.
Well, actually, I wouldn't be so sure about that.
Genre that no one wants.
Well, back in the day, though, vampires were huge. Okay, all I read were vampire books.
Yeah.
So
you know what? Yeah, like when I was like in my 20s, that was the thing. They became Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt started it. Vampires became sexy, and it was real weird.
Oh yeah, Interview with Vampire.
Yeah, they were not sexy before that.
No, but then Twilight came out. That thing came out when I was in high school, and everyone, when I say everyone, every person read that book in high school. There were girls running around just like carrying it. Like they'd be carrying like their like school books and then Twilight on top. Yeah, like I had friends that loved it.
Shark Boy from Shark Boy and Lava Girl would have become a hot werewolf or whatever he was.
Yes, he was a werewolf. So you have seen it.
I've seen parts with my kids watch it, but I haven't seen the whole thing, but I did watch Shark Boy and Lava Girl a lot with my kids.
Well, okay, that was a good one. But also Twilight did this thing where I like read all of them and like loved all of them. And then the movies, like it was the time when we were all obsessed. So it was like, yes, this is everything. And then I like a few years go by, because there's like years between movies, started to grow up a little bit, started to be like, ooh, this is embarrassing. Yeah. Why was I so obsessed with a sparkly vampire? But now I look back on it and I'm like, oh my God, that was great. I'm going to read the new one. Like, but at the time when I was like growing up, I was like, I'm still going to go see the movies. But every time Kristen Stewart bites her lip, I'm going to cringe, because I'm just like remembering that she's married to a sparkly vampire. Yeah. Like, Like,
I was the same way with Underworld at the beginning. Like, this is a good movie. I'm like, oh no, I just think Kate Beckinsale's hot. Like, this is not a good movie. Like, and I realized after I got older, I'm like, oh, she's not even. Now it's just weird that she's like, she's killing her family. I don't understand the movie, and her hotness isn't carrying it through anymore.
Yeah, you know what? Sometimes when you're deep in the obsession, it's like hard to see. I mean, there have been. It's Twi Hard. I mean, really. There have been many obsessions in my life, many phases that I've, been deep in. And then after I'm like, LOL, that was so great. Not many of them last, but like, when you're in it, you're like, even if you like are conscious of how crazy it is or how weird it is, you're still like, I don't care, because I just love it so much. But then like years out.
Like the Recorder. I
was a Recorder fangirl. And now years later, I'm going to be like, you know what? I'm going to revisit that. The only obsession that has never died for me is like boy bands. That has just always been my thing.
But that's something those songs stay with you forever. And I hope the next time you're on, you learn boy band songs on a recorder.
Honestly, challenge accepted.
I want 98 Degrees. That's my choice band.
98 Degrees.
I want you to play songs by 98 Degrees.
Which 98 Degrees song?
The hardest thing I ever have to do is look you in the eyes and tell you that I love you. It's the hardest thing I ever had to say.
That was fantastic.
The only song that has Dr. Zhivago in a rhyme. Like,
that's true.
I don't know how Lachey could ever try to rhyme Dr. Zhivago with anything. Don't challenge me. I know my boy fans.
I was going to say.
Wait, one day we'll do that podcast where
I'm impressed.
It is a guilty pleasure boy band music for me forever, because I like melodies and things, and it's like the closest thing. One day we'll do it. We have to end this one. One day we'll do that. Maybe
and we'll talk about it on mine too.
I will get into
100%.
that. I will blow your mind and really get people mad about how much I know of boy band music. Oh
my God, I'm so impressed. Pat, you're a little basic.
Well, because I always dated young people, so I have to know talking. So it's like they grew up on it, and my kids also grew up on it. Like my daughter always said, just make sure the people I date are closer to my age than hers. That's all she ever asked.
Oh my
So,
God, I'm dying.
which is very
That's
nice.
amazing.
Where can people follow you, see all that stuff?
You can follow me on Instagram at Danielle Maria Costa. That's also my website, daniellemariacosta.com. That has a bunch of clips of me on air. My podcast, which just got launched, that Pat's going to be on, which is Back to Basic podcast on Instagram. You can find that on iTunes, Spotify. I think I just put it on Google as well. And Twitter, because we were just talking about crazy tweets. I don't really tweet that many crazy things, but it's actually just D Costa with 3 A's.
Yeah, don't go digging in her past to find something terrible. It's not there. It's not there.
The only
By the
thing
way,
you'll find is Twilight.
when you sent the email link, I saw your name. I'm like, that your name sounds like an Italian grandma yelling. I could hear her yelling it at you.
What,
So,
Danielle Maria?
Danielle Maria Costa. Danielle Maria.
Yeah.
That's a super Italian yelling name.
Oh, yeah,
You
100%.
hear your middle name all the time?
No, actually.
No.
I only get called Danielle. Like,
Nice.
Danielle, because like yell is in it. So I just hear like, Danielle. And I'm like, oh, God, what did I do now?
Yeah.
So
I only got called Patrick when I was in trouble.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was always Pat, and then Patrick. I'm like, ah, shit. All right.
Yeah. But my name's just Danielle. So like, it's not like someone could say, hey, well, I do get called like Dan, but like that's by random people. You know what? When I was younger and I became an aunt, I was an aunt at 8. I did not want to be called Danielle because my brand when I was 8 was Danny. So they called me Aunt Danny. And now that I'm older, they just call me Danielle. But like if they refer to me, they'll say, oh, go to Aunt Danny. But then they talk to me and they're like, hey, Danielle. So that's the part of my recorder days self that has stuck.
8-year-old brand days, which I like a lot.
Yeah. My 8-year-old brand was in sync, being called Danny, and refusing to wear my glasses because I thought I was too cool.
And that's what made you the incredible personality and radio star, if you will, of not being on the radio ever again because of COVID.
Stop.
I'm kidding. Knock on wood, Pandas and you will be back on the radio real soon.
Yeah, me and Panda.
Whichever one's left alive after today.
Oh my God, don't say that, because if I wake up tomorrow and I see a Panda Bear story, I will literally be a ball of emotions on the floor.
It'll be pandemonium. Ladies and gentlemen, Danielle, thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Of course.